Where did the check suits come from?
Top man, ASOS, £90. We love a bargain.
A woman came up to me at the Manchester show the other day and was like, "Are your suits from Next?" I was like, no. She was like, "I work at Next. I'll get you suits. I'll get you discounts."
I love that that's where she was going.
I didn't see it coming at all. She was like, "Come into Next in Trafford Centre. I'll sort you out."
To be fair, that would actually be quite helpful.
Innit?
Because those suits are now 3 years old. I think it's time to move on.
Have you had the same ones the whole way through?
We have a brown suit as well, but when we first got that one, I got the wrong size and then I didn't return it in time because I'm an idiot. And so it's actually way too big for me.
Yeah, I mean, they don't fit most of us that well, so...
Yeah.
But we bring both suits to shows and then just decide what the vibe is.
Yeah, we're actually wearing the big ones tonight.
Yeah.
It's kind of a talking heads vibe.
Yeah.
That's the official angle. We'll put it across, but really I didn't send it back in time.
But new suits will be... They're imminent. They're imminent.
As soon as we call that lady from Next.
What was the ethos behind them in the first place, though? Why did you want to kind of bring the suits into the picture?
Well, I think we really liked having a uniform and thinking you change earlier than I do, but I like to leave it till just before we play and I get changed. I'm like, right, I'm in costume now. We're all in the same outfit. We're doing the same thing. I think it's a really nice way of homogenizing us. Yeah,
I just wanted to wear suits to look snazzy and I was like, guys, we should wear suits, and then everyone went with it, so I was gassed about that.
But I think it's a really nice vibe. I feel like I'm properly preparing to perform.
Well, yeah, it is and now I'm going to play a gig. And you because also when you're playing, when you're performing, it's almost like a character, so it just it helps you get into that extra step. Also, especially when we were playing smaller gigs when we were starting out, I think sometimes it's hard to be vulnerable enough to just I don't know, because those situations are so intimate, to put yourself out there. I think that's a really vulnerable thing. So I think the suits really helped with that.
I also think it's kind of a really weird, not many dance bands wear suits, right? You don't really associate. I think of it as more the mod thing, or bands like Mini Mansions wear suits. 1975, I forget that, but they always wear suits.
Do they?
Yeah. Not matching, but they all wear suits.
Oh, if it's not matching, does it count?
But I just think it's kind of a sharp dance band. It's quite a fun little... It's not
gives that different... Something slightly different.
Yeah.
USP. Nailed it.
Is it with what you were saying, about the idea of, kind of gets you in the headspace for going on stage? Is part of that separating the art from the artist, do you think, too? Is it kind of feeding into that?
I think there's always an element of that. I think it's just quite fun to get to go into that different space as a person. It's fun to get to explore that, and you get to be creative in that way, and just kind of... Yeah, I think when you're performing on stage, it's everything is so heightened.
Yeah.
That's if you just stood there hi, I'm Meg.
Mm-hmm.
It just wouldn't suit our music. I think our music is so high octane energy.
Well, and also it's very performative.
Yeah, totally.
I think the whole point of the band was that a lot of the time dance music isn't that visually enticing. There'll be a DJ or there'll be a guy with a load of electronics, but you can't necessarily see what's going on.
Pyrotechnics.
Yeah, so having real instruments and it be a band but still kind of try and sound like that was one of the big things we wanted to do.
How long did it take you to kind of get to a space where you felt like you were doing that, to kind of work the kinks out and get into a flow?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, we didn't really have time to even think about that. We literally started jamming and then we got a gig within a week, and then our bass player was in South Africa, so he couldn't do it, so he depped out our first ever gig, and we wrote a set in a week, and then we just kind of kept going from there.
You wrote a set in a week?
Yeah.
It was interesting.
And we just kind of went from there, and we were really lucky in the fact that it never really stopped. It just kept rolling, and now we're here. I think that's kind of beautiful. It's organic.
I think we started to find our sound properly when we started putting out recorded music.
Definitely.
We didn't put out any songs for 2 years?
Yeah.
We gigged solidly for 2 years. We were doing, a gig a week or around Manchester and the rest of the north of England. And we were just kind of learning the ropes, getting our foundation sorted. And so, yeah, I think a couple of years in, we were okay, we're starting, but we're still figuring it out, to be honest, which is why it's, Babyface EP.
But also, if you I don't know if we're ever going to be at a stage where it's like, and everything is figured out, because that would be so dull.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as an artist, you want to kind of constantly be evolving, right?
I saw, who was it? Someone said in an interview the other day that the way they get creative is they put themselves in really uncomfortable situations.
Grimes did that, where she locked herself in her room for 2 weeks and then
I couldn't
didn't
do that.
like eat anything, and she like went insane.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me
I mean, I'm
personally.
talking more like, you know, going places I've never been before, or like, I'm not like
Listen, Tom, I'm going to need
torturing myself.
a little bit more commitment from you. Step it up, man.
So yeah, we're always figuring it out, but
Yeah.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah. It's just fun, isn't it?
What was the like the last big revelation that you had as a group then? If you're kind of constantly uncovering new things.
I think like gigging again after the pandemic has been like the biggest revelation, because we were still lucky to like, we were able to write and release throughout the pandemic. And then like when we came out of it, our music had reached a whole new audience that we kind of didn't even realize. Because when you see numbers on a screen, it's, I don't know, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
And then so when we came out of the pandemic, we had just like leveled up in terms of venues and like capacities. So we were just playing to like crowds of people that knew our music and were like singing our songs back to us, which is pretty insane.
I mean, I think, at the gig in London the other day, there was a guy in the front row who knew every word to every song. And like, that completely blew my mind.
It's wicked.
Like, before the pandemic, I mean, a lot's happened since all the lockdowns and everything. So
you're telling me.
To see that is just crazy. I think that's the biggest thing for us at the moment. Yeah.
So does it change quite dramatically the way that you frame the band in your mind, do you think?
Well, I think so, because it's almost like you go from, I mean, we still played some, you know, like pretty sick gigs before the pandemic, don't get me wrong, but it's like now it feels in a way like legit, like this is what we're doing. Like, I don't have another job.
Yeah.
I'm poor as fuck, but I don't have another job. And this is it. Like, this is our lives.
Yeah.
And that's really fucking cool.
It's very surreal at the moment. Like, we haven't quite figured it all out yet.
We're in the dream world.
Yeah, we've been living in the dream world for a fucking minute. But yeah, it's just amazing that we can do this like all day, every day.
Yeah, to have left like college and come out and be in a position where we can do this every day. Like, we're so lucky.
Yeah.
When did you quit your other jobs that you had?
I never had one. I didn't have one after college.
Yeah, we graduated college like 6 months ago.
Was it 6 months ago?
Yeah.
God, time flies.
And then I got a job transcribing TV shows, which was wank. But it's okay.
For the subtitles that come up.
Yeah, well, it's
he wasn't at that level yet.
No,
he was below that.
That was below my pay. That was above my pay
That's
grade.
the upper echelons.
You just have to type out everything they say so they can edit it quicker. But I was doing like Ghost Hunters, Love and Hip Hop in Miami. It was
Love and Hip Hop in Miami.
Oh god, that one.
Is it not your favourite show, Alex? I'm confused.
I mean, that sounds like it could be.
So it's a cult hit in Glasgow.
It is rough. It's just all these Hispanic people very loudly bitching about each other.
Is it like a reality TV show?
Yeah. But they're really touchy about their appearances, so they didn't send over the footage. So I just had an hour-long audio file of this pop star from Miami going, "Oh my God, I absolutely hate her. She's like the absolute bitch of my life." And then they'd be like, "Okay, we're rolling." She's like, "Oh my God, it was so good to see her after so long."
I love that we're giving so much airtime to Love and Hip Hop in Miami.
I'm just assuming it's going to get cut.
Go watch
it's
it
fine.
now.
But I
really
quit.
hot.
I didn't actually quit, but they sent me an email yesterday saying, "Where are you?"
You could resign now on camera.
I think I told them yesterday. I was like,
"Oh, that's nice."
He
quit.
So I haven't done any work for like 2 months.
There's not time to.
There is not time.
It's like every day is so hectic. Like you just kind of got to go balls to the wall and like fully commit. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Is it ever tough to create when you're kind of in that space then, where it's so hectic and stuff's constantly happening?
Sometimes, but at the moment, it's like a really good pressure. Because we've been working on our next EP. Wrote it in like August? Wrote the majority of it then. And we've been in kind of the more technical phase of recording, mixing, producing, that kind of thing, which is easier to do under pressure. But we're looking to write new songs and stuff. And I think sometimes that pressure is really good because it means you go, oh crap, well, I've got to do this now. Because
yeah, I do love a deadline. I do work well under pressure. But that being said, like, I do also definitely need space to create.
Yeah.
And also, if you're not having like a chance to live experiences, I think it's quite hard to write.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, over Christmas.
Well, yeah, over Christmas and the New Year, we're kind of chilling out a bit more. We're going to kind of power into the album.
Yeah.
Album 1.
Uno.
Will you have to force yourselves to chill out over the New Year?
Yes.
Probably. Well, you get used to the adrenaline. Like, being on tour is so funny. The last time we were on tour, it was literally for 3 days. And the day we got back, I was just sitting there at home like, when's the adrenaline gonna hit? Like, you become like an addict.
Oh yeah, I didn't fully wake up after tour until 3 days later when my mum nearly crashed their car. And I was like, whoa, I'm awake again.
There
okay,
it is,
right,
baby.
let's go. I'm ready.
You said you love a deadline. Was it Dirty Work? No, Dirty Love, rather, that was written for your uni deadline, right?
Oh, yes. It was for my songwriting module. Actually, very helpful. Loved it. And yeah, I had to write 4 songs in 48 hours because I think I have ADHD, undiagnosed. But
I was going to say, it didn't have to be 48 hours. You just kind of left it that way.
No, yeah, definitely, guys, this is my bad. I would like to clarify. But yeah, then it was definitely, sometimes they just pop out. It's great. Sometimes they really don't though. But that's why, yeah, it's good to get a little deadline. And then I think that definitely contributed to the weirdness of Dirty Love. I thought I was writing normal songs. I keep doing this. I keep being like, guys, I've written a really normal song. It's going to be great. And everyone's like, this is fucking weird. This is so egg. I'm like, all right. I'm seeing it now through your ears. And yeah, definitely still weird.
Well, I wanted to ask about that one before we get into the EP because it's kind of a fictional account of something as opposed to writing from truth, right?
Yeah, most definitely not real life.
Was there anything you learned though from writing fictionally that you were then able to apply when you came back to writing about things that you're pulling from your own life?
Well, I just think what I learned, I think, is that not everything has to be like biographical, and actually that can be really fun. And I think if you put yourself in that kind of a box, sometimes restricting yourself is good for creativity. But then I thought, yeah, I don't know, just writing fictionally was really freeing actually. It's like, I can use all these stupid words and it's great. And it doesn't have to be like...
I'm really bad at that. I don't really do fictional writing.
I love it.
I should try it. I should
It's
just
great.
go all out.
But also it's like what you take inspiration from. So it's like my partner Paige is also a musician, and like their latest EP, like one of them is about Through the Eyes of a Stalker, and one of them is like about the guy in the Joker film. And like it's just like you can be so creative, and it means that you can fit in words like Ebola. I just think it's wicked.
Yeah.
And I like being able to do both. I think that's really fun because you can still have like, I think there is something so precious about songwriting when it is personal and it is raw and it's vulnerable. And I think that comes from such a special place. But then also it's trying to get that same effect when you're not writing about yourself, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess there's an element of not taking yourself too seriously with it as well.
100%.
I mean, there's quite a lot of that with us.
We're called Porij, but spelled dumb. It doesn't get more silly than that.
I guess that kind of leads us nicely into the song Ego, which is on the new EP,
yes.
because by not taking yourself too seriously, it's a way of kind of preventing that building up, I suppose.
Definitely. Yeah.
When it comes to someone else, who I imagine that song was written about.
Well, it wasn't. Okay, so it was actually written about my flatmate and her ex-boyfriend at the time. She's Scottish, half Scottish. Shout out.
Whereabouts is she from?
I don't know.
I can't remember either.
That's really bad. But yeah, so it was kind of like I took the seed of an idea but then I built upon it fictionally. So it's not like completely biographical. Like I have, like made up scenarios and stuff, but it was like the seed of that idea. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to explore that kind of relationship that's fallen apart, but from both sides. Cause I thought that'd be really fun. Cause often it's like pretty one-sided in a song, but yeah.
Which side came first? Or which side did you write first?
I wrote the side of the Flatmate first because I think it was quite fun to have most of the song being like, oh, you know, this has happened to me and actually this person's a prick and blah, 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 blah. And then you have this big like build up musically. And then for like the final chorus, you hear from the other person and it's just like, I'm still so in love with you. Why am I still so in love with you? I don't want to still be so in love with you. Like, I wish this could change. And then it completely flips your perspective on the whole situation, which I think is fun to leave till the end. And it's like, the musical build-up really fits like the emotional build-up as well, because it's almost like frustration from both of them. Both sides are so frustrated.
It's one of the only songs in the set where I can't smile during that song. Like,
I really smile.
I know you do, but I can't. And like, I'm like, nah, this one, nah. I'm enjoying myself, but not in a happy way. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love it because then you get that release. It's like, it's the tension and release in that song, which I think is so special.
Yeah.
Because when it gets to that moment where you hear from the other side and then musically it just goes, it just like expands, everything opens up and it's like, oh, finally, release. And then I'm just playing these chords and I'm like, yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm doing way too much in that song.
Yeah. Playing very difficult things. You're not just smiling like a loon at the front. Yay! That's what I do most of the time.
The idea that you mentioned where you flip the perspective of the song in the final verse. Have you ever written a song, either of you, where that's happened for you, where by writing it, your perspective on a situation has been completely changed?
For sure.
Definitely.
Songwriting is a very cathartic process.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's very, like, you can be thinking about so much, and as soon as you write it all down, it's very diaristic. Like, once it's out...
Good word.
Fuck you. Once it's out, it's kind of like you don't have to think about it anymore because you've already processed it, and now it's down. So, yeah, for me, it definitely helps a lot just, like, to get a load of what I'm thinking out onto a page. And then it helps me like work through it rather than just freaking out.
Very diaristic, I would say. Yes, I concur. It is super cathartic, and I can't write lyrics not on paper with a pen. I can't ever like write lyrics typing. Like for me, it very much has to be that.
Even if you're just jotting down an idea.
Cannot be on.
Most of the time for me, it's a voice note. I usually write lyrics when I'm on my bike because I don't know why. Because
I've spoken about this to songwriters before, and it's like when you're walking or when you're cycling or something, your mind kind of goes into that space where you're focusing on something else and it triggers something. I think it's because there's like the fear of impending death when you're cycling, so you can't think about anything else.
That's not where I thought that was going.
Well, I mean, obviously, clearly, I was scarred by my incident. But
oh yeah, Tom was involved in a horrible bike crash.
It was fine. I scratched my bum. It was fine.
Terribly scratched his bum.
I think it's because you're only thinking about, okay, well, if I just like lean right, I could die right now. And then suddenly your brain has that space and it just goes, oh, you should do this. And then you have to pull over and you're like, into your phone. So I've got loads of like really weird little voice notes from straight off my bike.
That's so funny. Yeah. I don't do lyrics on voice notes. I do top lines on voice notes. My voice notes is a mess because I don't label anything.
And that's a mistake.
But I think it's quite fun because then you can just dive in and be like, oh, what was this? It's like, this
I'll only ever have one lyric. The first lyric of the voice note will be a thing and the rest will all be mumbling, not real words.
Oh, but when I'm doing top lines, it's like you naturally find words to fit. And then
Benny Sings does that. Benny Sings wrote that all the vocals for his album with no lyrics, did the whole album and then came back and did them afterwards, which is nuts.
It is nuts. I'm not sure I'd do that.
No, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like doing it backwards.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Although sometimes
but he's a beat maker by trade, so like that was where he started.
I do write melodies without lyrics though, first, quite a lot of the time actually.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do a whole album.
Listen, Tom,
okay.
Don't put me in a box.
Next time.
Album 1 is happening now. No, I don't want to do that. Don't make me.
It's funny that we mentioned voice notes. So I wanted to ask about how you find the voice of a song, because on this EP, some of it veers closer to spoken word. You're very much taking on different tones throughout. How do you find the voice that suits a particular track?
Well, I think it depends also, because like this latest EP, like Can't Stop, Tom wrote by himself. Divine and Heaven Knows, like I wrote by myself. And then Ego was more collaborative, and so is Nobody Scared.
Yeah.
So you already have like 4 different writers coming in with different voices as it is. So that's automatically going to get more of an eclectic.
Yeah.
What am I looking for there? What's the word?
An eclectic what?
Collection.
Collage.
Menagerie.
I definitely wasn't looking for that one. But then I think it just like, I've always said that I don't write for an agenda. I write with what I'm feeling at the moment, because I think that's always going to be the most honest song, or even if it's not like truthful, I think that's always going to come across the best, because it's, I don't know, it feels more real. Not to say that it's wrong to write with an agenda, it's just not what I do personally. I think, yeah.
I think in answer to your question, we try not to think about it too much in terms of the voice. It's more about the song, right? It's just like,
it just happens.
What does this feel like? Kind of, and dive right into that. Like Can't Stop, like you say, I made this really, really budget garage beat, just put a load of vocals on it with auto-tune, and that was kind of the vibe. So then it was all like trying to replicate that, just a bit higher fidelity.
Yeah, and all the spoken word stuff for me comes from like, obviously as a raging queer, all of the like...
Raging.
I'm a raging queer. No, all of the stuff from like, all of the Club Kids stuff from like the 80s and 90s, and like the Madonna stuff and the Grace Jones stuff, like very heavily influenced by that. So that's where that came from for me on stuff like Divine and Heaven Knows.
You mentioned Can't Stop as well, that you brought it in with that demo. How, like, what parts of it do you expand and what parts do you preserve? Like, how do you figure that side of it out?
It's a long time in a rehearsal room going, how much can we physically do to make this song a band thing but still sound like the record? So I think, how did we do that one?
That one was actually quite easy, weirdly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it would be, because there's kind of a lot going on. It's quite hectic, but actually...
So we could physically play the keys sound. But then there was... So the guitar line in the chorus was originally a synth thing. And we was like, right, well, Tommy, you chuck that on guitar, that'll sound great. And then, I don't...
I mean, we usually make sure that we can play it live before we record it. So that makes it a lot easier. In terms of...
It's quite a convoluted process. It goes beat, live room, finish the written song, live room to make sure we can all record it, then record it. And but that like back and forth process lets it kind of settle.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of constraints, you're talking there about you have to be able to play it together. One of the other constraints I wanted to ask about is the format in which you present your music, because I also did the mixtape last year, EP this year. What's the difference between those two mediums for you, and how did that influence what you were creating?
So the reason we did a mixtape first was because we'd released like singles sporadically over like the past couple of years, and we wanted a place where they could all sit together like as a body of work. And then also, because it was a pandemic, we weren't playing live, but we kind of recorded the covers that we would play live. So it was like, you can't actually legally see Porij right now, but if you were to, this would be our set.
Could you have seen them illegally?
Experience. Eh?
Could you have seen them illegally?
Probably not.
I don't think we're quite that hard.
We're not that cool, Alex. Read the room. But that was the reason that we did that. And it wasn't like as pressured as like our debut EP. And also like, I feel like, yeah, it was more like, this is a collection of songs that we've done.
This is the beginning, but it's not like...
It's not our entrance.
I think the big difference was polish. It was like, okay, we're kind of testing the waters with the mixtape. And now that we've got the EP, we were like, right, this is going to be considered as a whole body. And like everything just felt like a little level up. And yeah, hopefully the next one we do the same thing.
I heard it's going to be shit, mate.
Yeah, me too.
Wouldn't listen. Joking, it's going to be really good. Please listen. Available on Spotify.
You're either completely self-deprecating and won't say one good word about Porij, or you'll tell everyone, guys, that Porij merch is fire. You should go.
A really good salesperson.
I think you're too intimidating. On the merch stand, though, people are like,
But that's why you go over the top and then it's just funny.
Yeah, but I don't think that makes them buy.
But it clearly did. Sales were through the roof.
When you weren't there.
I just like seeing like how far you can go. I find it quite funny. It's a bit of a game.
It is jokes, but yeah, let's not scare the punters.
What are the highlights of the Porij merch catalogue?
The highlights?
Embroidery.
We've upgraded this time. We went embroidered as much as we could. We got some nice embroidered caps.
Mate, it's quality.
Some t-shirts with high quality. Got a lovely quality tote bag. Oh, the tote bag.
Our manager gets a hard on for tote bags, and it's so funny because I don't actually understand tote bags personally, but he's like obsessed.
I mean, I'm a big tote bag person, so I get it.
No, but he's like a big tote bag person.
So yeah, that's the current lineup. It's a little...
Also, like all the same vision is like, it's basically, I think we wanted merch that you could just wear where it's not necessarily like, oh, this is merch. So they're pretty like simple and it's just got an embroidered logo on and it's all black.
Yeah.
Yeah, classy, Alex. What can I say? We're classy people, as you can probably tell.
Have you always had quite a strong interest in everything that surrounds the band? 'Cause, you know, we started this off by talking about the suits. You clearly have quite a big passion for the merch. Have you always been very interested in how you kind of expand that outward beyond the music itself?
I think it was more like, for example, the Oat Gang thing that came about. We basically had a DistroKid account and they said label. And we were like, oh, we need a label name. She went, okay, Oat Gang, fuck it, that'd be cool. So then that was a thing. And then we needed a music video. So we were like, oh.
We've got no money.
We've got no money. So let's just make a music video with like zero budget. And then we were in the video game. And then we were like, well, we've got a show coming up. We should probably make some merch. So we just all chucked in like 100 quid. And
oh my God, it was more than that. It was painful.
Anyway, we chucked in some money, all got these shirts. And then we were like, right, well, we'll design them. I think what's really cool is that we can do all of that now because we can just upload online and then like everything's getting so much more independent. Like we're not intentionally putting our fingers in every pie, but we just can. And
well, yeah, it's almost like it started out from a place of budget, but also like I think we are just generally quite interested in that kind of stuff anyway, especially like me and you.
Yeah.
We're little aesthetic pals. Like, you know, we did art at school, like graphic design, all that stuff. So the fact that everything is in-house, yes, it's cheaper, but also like it's really fun being able to control that creative vision from like all angles.
Like we do all our own art. We did our own logo, do our own posters.
Yeah.
And it just really feels like as much of us as we can put into it.
We've spoken a lot about kind of tour and the way that you perform live and such. What's the most unexpected thing that's happened since you've been back on tour post-COVID?
Surely crowd surfing, man.
Oh, yeah.
At the London show, was it during the encore? I think it was.
There was a lot of shenanigans going on.
Anyway, it was towards the end of the set. I was just playing along, whatever. And I look over at the crowd and there is this dude that's like at our height just surfing along the crowd. We had no idea who he was.
Well, what was funny is that it wasn't like quite surfing in the sense
it was like controlled falling.
It was the same group of people holding him and then they were just moving.
Oh, were they?
So it was like they were just carrying him around.
I hadn't seen that.
It was so funny. I think he surfed a bit, but it was controlled.
But it was our first ever crowd surfer. So that was cool. That was cool.
And then our manager afterwards went, Egg, why aren't you crowd surfing? I was like, I'm just not sure people are going to support me. I think I'm up for. I'm going to be on one of those compilation reels where it's like all of the fails.
Like that one of Justin Bieber where he just falls through the stage.
Exactly. I've got the fear, man. I've got the fear.
Other than that, what's been unexpected on tour?
Well, the hummus has been expected.
The hummus has been pretty normal. We saw Venom yesterday.
I saw Venom yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
At the 5:20 viewing?
No, the 5 o'clock viewing.
That would have been so cute.
What did you think?
It's dumb, it's big, it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's classic, isn't it?
It's better than the first one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just kind of lent into it.
They double down.
Yeah. But that was pretty expected.
PlayStation on the tour van. That was unexpected.
Yeah.
But great. Love it. Can't do anything, never grew up with games, but I'm really a supporter when you play.
Thanks, Harry.
It's really in your corner, Tom.
I'm trying to think of it. It's not been that wild.
I know, now it's just embarrassing, isn't it?
We're pretty middle-aged. We go to bed quite early.
I had 12 hours sleep last night. It was lit.
I fell asleep fully clothed last night.
Okay, yeah, no, that was unexpected.
So I went out for like one last fag before bed. What, like 11?
No.
It's 10:30.
No. 10.
Okay, 10.
I was going to bed. I'd had a bath, right? And then I was like, okay,
so
Tom
I was
will
like,
be
I'm just going out for a cig.
Yeah. So I set my podcast to 10 minutes, right? So like turn off. I was like, I don't want to make Tom listen to my podcast.
I took one cigarette, a lighter, and my phone, and the room key. Stood outside, and then our tour manager goes, all right, we're all in the pub. So I then ended up in the pub for like 2 hours, not even, like an hour and a half, got back at 11:30, passed out on the bed fully clothed, and then Egg woke up with me there.
Well, no, because from my perspective, it was Tom's going out for a fag, he'll be back in 10 minutes. I wake up 2 hours later, Tom's not here. He could be dead. I'm sure he's fine. I fall back asleep. I then wake up and he's snoring next to me, fully clothed on the bed at like, I don't even know when. And then the next time I woke up, you weren't fully clothed and you were under the covers.
Well, I woke up at 5 a.m. going, what have I done? So brushed my teeth, got undressed and went back to bed.
I honestly thought I was hallucinating last night.
Yeah, it was
so bizarre. I was like, God, I really must be tired. Like I keep seeing Tom in like weird visions.
So yeah, classic. That was that. That's our Glasgow night.
That's our answer to your question, Alex.
Wow. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Very nice to meet you.
And you. Thank you.
Wicked.